You're now tuned in to radiovr.co.za.
Bro, stop talking shit and introduce the fucking guest.
Well, we already recording.
We're already recording, bitch. You said we should start 2 minutes ago.
You didn't even want it, brother.
Who is it with the mop on their head? Jaden Smith.
Nah, man, the South African one.
Oh,
You complaining she was walking around singing that song.
Moonchild, that?
Fucking hell.
You were dying.
But you know what the thing is? The fuck up is that Moonchild is one of the most amazing human beings to ever meet. So
I like Moonchild. I'm not going to front.
So my daughter, we are at the Alliance Française, that Fête de la Musique vibe, right? About 4 years ago. First time, she's bored as shit. She doesn't understand what the fuck she's doing there, right? And then I'm like, look who that is. And she's like, who? And I'm like, that's Moonchild. She looks proper and she's like, oh my God, it is. Yeah. So then she's gushing, like very happy. Then I walk up to her and I'm like, yo, my daughter would like, can my daughter meet you for 2 seconds? It's not going to hurt you. Please. This is a fan. My daughter I go grab Jazz. She comes up and she's like, oh, cool. You're so cool. Whatever. They chat. My daughter goes nuts. And then she's got like, and it was like literally one of the cheapest fucking necklaces I've ever been. But like she makes these like nice, cute little necklace things. And then she gives it to Jazz and says like, you know what? You can have my love locked down. And because you're my number one fan here. And she gives her this necklace. My daughter still keeps that necklace in a precious place right now because that's the best thing. And her mom was in Cape Town. So she makes a phone call and she's like, you won't believe what just happened, yo. I got jewelry from Mucha from her neck.
Like, I'm never washing this.
She's like, I don't know what to do with myself. I'm done. I can go now. Like,
no, that's pretty sick. For me, I've liked Moonchild in terms of, like back then when there was this whole, what was it, Puma?
The Puma Social Club.
Yeah, the Puma Social Club, and there was like a lot of live artists actually performing, and Moonchild during the era was brave enough to put herself out there doing that Ra Ruby song, and it was like these super weird productions. And I was like, at that point in time for me, I was like, I'm not really vibing with the music that she's doing, but I'm like, I admire the level of bravery because like
dude, that's so crazy because even here she like pushed we don't have a huge hippie circuit like Braamfontein, but in the small one, yo, she pushed out here before she jumped fully into Joburg.
You know the project that she did, like Spook Matambo had an incarnation prior to Batuk with a guitarist and some other dude. They had a bit of a Maskandi kind of thing.
Yeah. And
they had this, hey yo, all respect due to all the artists who are about to talk about, we still love you and everything, but no. So that song was pretty shit in my opinion. And then...
Dude, I'm sorry, okay, I'm not taking shots at Spook, but I feel like I haven't heard a good song from Spook. But at the same time, I haven't given a chance to actually go and listen to a whole full.
Do you know what? Like you know what your problem is that you're hung up off Sweat X Spook and Fantastic Kill Spook. Were you there for that era?
I don't think so, dude. The thing here's for me, I feel like Spook popped out of nowhere. It was like, oh, this South African guy with like 300,000 views on his YouTube, and for me, I'm like, this guy is probably pushing overseas and not here.
He used to rap with like Wadi Chuja Jones.
He used to be a rapper?
Hold on. He used to rap with Wadi Chuja Jones.
Okay, hold on one second.
I know Spook Matambo,
okay, cool.
But like you said, he popped up.
Wadi Chuja Jones is the guy that you guys now call Ninja, who used to be part of a group called Max Normal.
Oh, yeah. I
used to love Max Normal.
Way before the Antwoord, right? So, after like Max Normal split up, he did an album with a Cybot called The Fantastic Kill. And that's where like I got introduced to him. And then he used to do stuff with I think Cybot as well. And they had a thing called Sweat X.
Oh, Cybot was big.
So that's how far I take it. But then that's because I'm an old motherfucker though. So he's not new. I've seen him in various incarnations.
Yeah.
Anyway, in that particular one, there was this, like I was on OK Play and they were playing this song and like she was going, you can call me. She does that annoying repetitive thing. Not annoying, but it's just not my thing. And then, anyway, Jazz heard me playing that song one time and I was like listening to it and I'm like, oh, okay, like these guys have got a vision. Because that's the other thing, it's like you cannot doubt the creative and conceptual kind of like
energy
that she has. Like she is, like you said, she's willing to put herself out there and take it out there.
Yeah, dude.
And I am attracted to
art. It's such a vulnerable thing, dude. Like, it's like mad respect to anybody who's actually putting themselves out there, regardless of whether your record was produced by Timbaland or you made it in your bedroom trying not to irritate your parents while recording this stuff. Like,
Nasty C.
It's like the pros, like
He's got
being
his
like
juice
that day where you like you're posting it on YouTube and you're pressing that publish button, and it's like you literally giving it to the world and hoping that they receive you in a positive way. Like, it's scary, it's vulnerable. Now, it's easier to press that publish button if you're doing records that sound like everybody else, you know. Whereby when you're doing something where if somebody wants to hear another version, again, something that feels similar to the song, they can't find it, that's scary. Because the world can simply turn around and be like, this is
You've been a
trash.
musician, right? Like,
Yes.
Don't you find it interesting that like there's this pigeonholing? Like, I saw a producer like on Instagram, one of the guys I follow. He said, "I make a K-Tronada type beat, or I make a."
I've seen a lot of
Zay
producers say
Olsen
that.
type.
There's a lot going on.
So like that like need to be to like give enough information at the top of it so that like somebody actually clicks on it.
It's crazy because it's actually a system. I've seen it. Like, Drake will drop a song, and then all the producers, aspiring producers to like medium producers,
They're trying to
they
get attention
recreate
as well.
that exact song, and then new artists come into the studio, be like, "Oh yeah, I like that because it sounds familiar because I heard it on radio a million times or on Channel O," and then it just repeats itself, and then a subgenre pops up. That is,
And I don't mind because like
Hence, mumble rap was born.
We learn
Yeah.
by imitating, especially at a young space. And I mean, those dudes will eventually find their own sound. I mean, I remember you've played me stuff that you made long time ago, and and I know the space that you're in now. And it's two very different, and one of them is not as this new space is not as secure because it requires you to be part of the process. In other words, to allow yourself to feel, to think, be angsty, and then allow that to take you into a direction which might not necessarily be the one that you necessarily wanted.
But allow it to go wherever it wants to go.
Right, because then now the artist is getting to live because he's getting to like make sense of himself, and the scary thing about art, in doing we become.
yeah.
It's like, I don't know, art is like digging into yourself and discovering things as you literally mining parts of yourself out, and as you go along there's times where you start identifying with certain parts of yourself as well.
That's what makes a record unique. Is like you hear the person. It's like you hear the person through whatever art form, whether it's painting. You feel that this is human and it could not be done except for this person and their experiences. Then coming into this art form.
But it's a very the journey is the destination type thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
You cannot say that like I'm from here and
I've made it.
A and then now that I've arrived, then now we've got the answer. That's a difficult space. The journey, like the things that happen along the way, the things that you see along the way, they have as much influence. Your feeling on the journey has as much influence as like what you become at the end is usually a very unsatisfying place because you like that's why I say you become by making. Like you are there, you're trying something, it's not working, but you learned something sort of cool and you found a sort of nice sound. Like with me, it was synths. Like you find a nice little patch and like, oh, I like that. Like I'm keep it
I'm
for
really
later.
liking synths right now, dog.
You need to stop bringing this up, man.
Sorry.
It hurts.
You started.
It hurts enough. It hurts enough. Cut it off.
Speaking about journey, where did your journey as a creative like actually begin? Do you remember?
As a creative,
Yeah, or as like a person who.
Okay, wait. Let's do this. For people who don't know who PJ is, can you please introduce yourself?
seriously.
Yes.
My name is Pheelo, Makosholo. I was born in Lesotho, and I live in Johannesburg.
Why are you so shy?
I make films. Hey,
Why are you shy now?
because I'm not a fun topic.
No, okay, cool.
I mean, I'm not an amazing, interesting thing that you can talk about. It's like
Wow.
dope shit out there
So
that's happening.
this person who makes films, right? He's a DOP.
He's on the camera department in District 9.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, we did a McDonald's advert together,
He's a director.
Yeah.
Ever heard of Intersections?
and like, okay, so I've been working with him for quite some time, we do have a young history. And
Proph once touched me.
Proph?
you're not the MacBook, bro.
It was
But
the
anyway.
long hair that made me let him.
Okay, so where it's like literally I would get, okay, we're working on a certain project and I'd go through working with all the other directors. And then eventually we get to your footage and I can literally feel the gap between you and the other directors while I'm editing your footage. So for you to say that, it's not pretty much a big deal. Like, dude, you freaking good at what you do. Oh, no, he's blushing in case you guys want to know how he's responding.
Oh yeah.
He's turning shy now.
But that particular film, sorry.
Want some water?
Or a beer. I'm still struggling with bronchitis. And these people have no drinks. This is a cuck podcast.
It's low budget, man. So we're going to arrive eventually.
In what?
A Prius.
We're gonna be doing
owned.
podcasts from a Tesla while it's self-driving and we're riding through the city.
You guys will probably
Live
run out of
streaming.
sun the way you're so broke.
Global.
The particular project that you're talking about, though, I think I had one particular advantage. One, I had to do one episode and it was standalone.
Yeah.
So that was really dope. And I was at a very angry moment with DOPs at that time. Another angry moment with DOPs. And so I was very, very... It forced me or it made me want to put myself into a space where I wanted to be... I wanted my vision unfettered by everybody. And I felt like... to be honest, I was angry at production. I was angry at a lot of things. I was just being me. The sober part of me. Which is a very passionate, hyper human being who sometimes can be very uncompromising in his vision. But as I get older, I'm willing to hear and understand. But that's who the guy came out. I like to call him Angry PJ.
Do you scare people?
Me? I don't think so. I think if you get scared by me,
No, PJ doesn't scare people, and I think it's a strength, and at the same time it can be a weakness. Where it's because of the fact that, he's such a bubbly, likable guy that the sound, let me not say sound, who might slack and take it easy. The art department might slack and think, but he's going to be chilled when I tell him about this.
Well, there's two things that come into play there. Well, the first one is that, I know I've worked in every department. I know how to do everything. And I've done enough independent shit by myself to be able to figure out how to do something. So I'm a solution-based dude. I walk in there expecting problems, and I'm already figuring out the ways out of the problem.
Yeah.
If you can think about it, remember we had a car crash, right?
On Emoyeni?
Yeah. And when I approached that car crash, I was like, shit, the budget is not going to allow. Production is going to tell me about how we don't have the money or the time. Because now what happens is that in television, we gauge things based on that page count vibe, right? So you say the car crashes, it's an eighth of a page, so it's discounted.
Mm-hmm.
That's
because
it's
just one scene.
Yeah, it's just one scene, and there's a scheduler who's looking.
There's one road. There's another road. There's another road. We have to make it look like it's moving, so we keep on to different locations to get the general movement of a car, and it takes up the time of 5 scenes, even though it's just one scene.
Right,
Yeah.
And we never ever do that. So I started having to think about how do I then make it work. So like you said, we shot in an area that was fairly contained, which was around the Jeppe area. But I knew I could get different backgrounds out of it. Yeah. And then I thought I want to crash a car. I really would love to be able to have a proper car crash, and I want to kill people. Because I'm afraid of blood and injections in real life, but when it comes to film, I love killing shit. It's very fun.
PJ. You have to check out. There's what is it?
Oh God! I thought you were about to tell me that I'm swearing.
Oh no! Whatever.
It's the internet. It's the internet. Don't worry.
Check out Black Summer.
It's really good. I'm like on
Oh,
the
you started
third-
watching it?
I'm on the third
He
episode.
never watches horrors. But dude,
No, it's not. It can't be hard. I don't do that.
No,
Yeah, real niggas don't scare themselves.
Nah, screw the both.
Yeah,
of you.
that's for real.
Yeah, but they
no,
my
stop.
shit is real,
Guys,
son.
that's distorting. Stop.
I live in a real world, like dog. Where I'm scared all the motherfucking time. I don't need to watch TV.
No, but
I don't live in suburbia where like nobody's trying to harm me all the fucking
Yes,
time.
you do. And two.
People are trying to harm me. There's various Afrikaners with no front teeth that are begging money. I don't know how to deal with that.
No, but okay, from a filmmaking perspective, like they've done it so well, and there's moments which they actually pace so beautifully, dude. Like the whole entire time, like there's moments where I'm like literally on the edge of my seat, right? But because I'm a filmmaker, I'm like smiling because I'm watching this. I'm like, I can't believe they actually have me feeling this way. This is amazing. So just because of that, I'm like, next day I got to Pheelo, and then I was like, you guys have to watch this. Like, I don't care that you don't watch horrors. I don't care. Like,
Do you find yourself categorizing your viewing and saying that like I watched it as a filmmaker or I watched it as a spectator?
Yes.
But here's the thing. The thing is, okay, cool.
So did you enjoy
Like-
that like as a spectator and a filmmaker, or did it only feel one?
It was both.
Both.
For me, yeah.
Oh,
Here's
is it?
the thing is
one
that
of those, yeah.
it's very rare to find a series, a movie, or any form of storytelling that gets you actually lost in it, in terms of they actually took your emotions from here to there without you
can
having
get involved
to.
in the suspension of
Dude,
disbelief.
Yes.
Like you're looking at a scene and the dude's running and you're like, oh shit, they thought about that camera movement. Why they whip me? Like at the same time, but you're still involved in the story. You know,
Yeah, like it's really well done. Even sound design. Okay, cool. Back to
Okay, I'm gonna watch Black Summer.
The car accident.
So I remember like the one thing that like I also did there when I was doing it was like we had a chance to talk to Proph before that. I think we had a chance.
Yeah, we did.
And-
Dude, after reading the script, dude, I was like, I need to be as involved pre-production as much as I could.
But what I did there is I worked the way I would work in my perfect environment, where I sat with the DOP, the late Mark Ralston.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, man. So we and I talked him through my vision and exactly how I wanted. And then also in that process as well, what I iterated was that like I'm very specific. And I've sat and I've read and I've walked through everything. So yes, I know it becomes your realm at some point, but I need us to communicate in a very specific way.
Yeah.
And if I feel like you don't understand, I will guide you to where it is. But please, this is how I want to do it. And it
Yeah.
was important for me to do that. With the styling, I went through the same thing. And it was with the editing as well. So like I could sit and say, Proph, this is what we're going to do. And this is how I'm thinking that we should try and go about it. It had some special effects moment which we should have had a bit more cash for, or like I need to figure it out. I mean, like I need to figure out special effects a little bit for my own self.
Yeah.
Because like I feel, I mean, I get inspired. Like my friend Holly, like now he's a wizard After Effects. And
Which Holy?
Holly Nikki.
What is this? Holy or?
Holly.
I didn't know.
Yeah. No, you know why? What happened is that we did a
I really
Mofire.
did not know.
We did a Mofire ad like a year ago. Two things happened, right? Firstly, he got disappointed by his DOP and he's like, shit, you know how to shoot. You want to come shoot? And I'm like, shit, yeah, sure. We had an Alexa Mini. Nice camera. I love it.
Nice. So you lucky mother.
And then the crowd is going to hear you. and then the second thing is that like he did effects on it because we've got an angel flying in and out and all sorts of shit, you know? I don't know whether it's a test on when it's going to coming out or what's happening with it, but anyway, that's what happened. What was interesting is that like he had spent 3 weeks
Yeah.
learning After Effects to make the things. And that had resulted because like he went for a quote for a 30-second spot with maybe a total of realistically 10 seconds worth.
I
of
respect
like,
that, though.
Of like what you call it?
Yeah.
Graphics.
And
They were quoting him 100.
What? For 10 seconds?
100,000.
Yeah.
No, that's ridiculous though.
But like you know what I mean? It's a thing.
Yeah.
They quote a lot of money because they've got a big machine that they need to fit.
Yeah, but I remember also being like first time seeing somebody pay for graphics. It was like it wasn't even 30 seconds. It was 5 seconds, and the guy like said like, yeah, 5K. I was like, whoa. I need to learn this at some point.
Right? You know what I mean? But
For me, it's funny because I started with graphics, with VFX, After Effects, and worked my way into editing. So it was like my journey.
What, really? You didn't edit?
Dude, I learned how to edit. And I think part of me
Who
being
did you
such a
edit
good
with?
editor.
Like, it was on like
is-
the production that shall not be named.
What?
Who were you editing with there? Do you remember? On the production that shall not be named.
No, I do not know which one. Which production you talking about though?
The first time we ever met.
Okay, what's the question again?
Who was the editor there? Because I remember you used to refer to him as your mentor.
No, I was the main. I was the main editor at that point.
But who was your mentor?
No, but who set it up? Do you remember that dude?
No.
Prof, you only came in about like episode 5 proper. Me and you went like, because I slept a couple of times with like Jazz there. It's another thing. You take your daughter and your daughter sleeps in the edit suite while you edit. It's fucking terrible, man.
It's
Great
yeah.
fatherhood.
Anyway.
Okay, I don't remember.
Anyway, the point is that like what starts happening is that like Holly learns a new skill because he's like, but what if I learned how to do this?
Yeah.
For the purpose that I need. And the tutorials are out there. They're on the internet.
There's so much.
Yeah.
So then he goes and he learns it. And now, even on the current drum that he's working on, those skills are...
Still applicable.
You know what I mean? Because like it's a sort of superhero thing. It's that ETV soapy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like he's using that there. He's like now helping other people. And like it's great because he walks in with so much more vision and like clarity.
That's the thing. Like it's like knowing, for me, I'm like knowing VFX post-production, like it gives you so much power on set. Because like you might be fighting, like I remember, okay, cool. I remember fighting with the DOP, trying to shoot a specific scene in a specific way. And I'm like, we're doing it like this because I know exactly what I'm going to do in post-production with After Effects and Premiere Pro to get it to a very specific place and it's going to feel real. Sure, it doesn't right now, but watch. And when it got to the actual final product, like I can see what you're saying. But
doesn't it speak about his trust in you?
I think
yet, like, there's a place where he expects you to
what?
trust him and his vision.
Sometimes it's just the ego.
Yeah, the thing, dude.
It's true.
Set is you're working in the dynamics of people's ego, and also at that point in time, like he was younger, so there's like a whole thing that I have to prove my worth and yada yada etc. So it's like
Yeah, but the dick swinging is so unnecessary.
yeah, but
It's always there.
it's like okay, let's just imagine filmmaking similar to rap music. It's like in the beginning, there's this whole thing, I gotta prove myself, you're the Incredible Hulk, etc. And then over time, if you're lucky enough to survive your own rage and desire for women, drugs, and whatever else, and you're actually still in the game, your approach completely changes. One, you're not as stressed as much as I'm trying to do as many projects as possible, improve as and two, you trust the people that you actually work with to be like, no, the final mix guy is going to actually do his job. We've hired him, and if he's not the best, we'll just get rid of him, and so on. So it's like your approach to working with people completely changes. You, like you were saying yourself, you're now more open to actually listening to other people's ideas versus your younger self.
Yeah, but I mean, my younger self was a smarter guy. He knew everything, and he just read a book that told him something. So you
doesn't know After
fucking-
Effects though.
Yeah. So anyway, the point is that like I mean, what it taught me is about learning and like about how we need to like always constantly upskill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not disrespect for other people's crafts, but it does help that person in their thing for you to bring the right material to them for them to do the magic that you
Suggest
need.
the right things.
And-
Yeah, well,
Right. And the conversation is different in pre when you're sitting there and you're saying, so you need me to do this and this. How would you prefer it? And if I was to wanted to go this way, how would I then have to do it so that you can be able to create the thing that you need?
Yeah, and like if you picked up like somewhere in a movie, because they just didn't get the reflections right. And you ask the dude, how do you get the reflections right? Because now you've kind of looked into that world and like Gucci, we gotta worry about the reflections in visual effects type thing. Well, so yeah, I totally understand it.
And it's so.
But yeah, I don't. It's like a lot of my favorite directors know how to do VFX. Like they can literally run their own VFX department, I think. And like even James Cameron, where he's like heavily involved with VFX, that it allows him to be able to direct better because he knows what's going to look real and what's not going to look real.
Absolutely.
And what's going to age well and what won't. Because it's one thing about VFX where it looks brilliant today. You watch it 10 years from now, you're like, yo, this looks so fake. How did I enjoy this?
You kept watching Titanic.
my daughter, her thing now is watching like the original Batman, like the 60s one.
Yeah. What's the name of it? The
like
60s
Batman,
one.
like the
Oh my
60s.
God.
She loves that. Why? Because it looks so crap and fake.
Yeah.
Like the shark, whatever. Like she is just enamored with like seeing the fakeness of it. And this
It's a comedy to her now.
But like
There's
she's
a
my
market
daughter
for this
as well,
stuff.
so she's probably a little bit weird.
But there's a market for this.
No, she's ready. She's out there, dude. Like trying to like be retro. But anyway, I was saying like so the approach with Emoyeni was like I was very, very and like, I enjoyed working like that. Although, again, when you're doing that like nice or not nice thing, it's harder for people because like people sort of need you to bend to a degree, so that they can get their way a little bit easier. Because like not everybody's trying to push their weight the hardest that they can.
Yeah.
And not everybody is trying to do that either. A lot of people are also doing the best and doing the most, you know?
Yeah.
But you want to combat that a little, especially when like you're that specific and you got a script like that like will that you know gives you space and room to like create.
To play, dude.
Yeah. So it was nice. I sat and I talked to everybody and then I went through stuff and I mean even the locations I remember like, you know, it was a great location. I was sort of pushed into it, but I hated it at the beginning because I felt like nobody actually read the script. And I had to rewrite a lot of things in order to make the house fit the script. But it was a decision based on like, can we afford locations? No. But this one is going to look right for everything else. It doesn't look right for one scene, but it's going to look right for everything else. So how do I reconcile myself? Oh snap, down the road, it's not going to look right for 3 scenes. So what does this mean for the story? Fuck, let me re-look at it another way. So I worked it out in my head and I said, this is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
In order for it to work. And and that was also the beginning of a part where like I think I started realizing that maybe we can do this television thing properly, that like perhaps like man, we don't have to you know, we were saying earlier, you don't have to talk all the fucking time. You know? And like we do not need a beat every 2 seconds. Or action every 3 minutes. It's unnecessary, or it just doesn't work, and all it does is just make for a very, very, very anxiety-creating piece for me. I think what we managed to do there, and we used to cry about time because like we used to fight for breathing space.
Yeah.
And then, like, when we're fighting for breathing space, the thing starts becoming, like, what scenes can we lose so that the scenes that are there start, like, having a lot more life. And
yeah, because breathing is as valuable as being paced up.
You know what breathing is, man? Breathing is an acknowledgement that there's an audience out there that needs to process shit in order for you to be able to take them to the next phase of the film, of the story.
So you still think about the viewer.
For me, dude, like, I love moments where it's like, okay, like right now there's a group called The Blaze, which I'm currently obsessed with. They make like this dance music, but it's so emotional. But the music videos where it's like literally capturing this moment of a whole masculine man crying is like, that visual is heavy. And you can't have that if you're just talking the whole entire time.
You can't.
So like, it's an opportunity for people to actually connect with this real moment that we have right there, like that we have right there. It's like, I remember, with the cut of your film, where it's like, okay, cool. When after dude dies, etc., accident, etc., and it's like we started in the bedroom, and I was like, we go from fast pace to slow. let's take this in, like soak it in like a sponge.
And let's feel her pain, because her pain is gonna set up all the shit that's gonna happen later.
Yeah.
Now, if I gloss over it as a beat, then fuck, dude. Like, what do we have left?
Yeah, take in the whole third of like it, like have that emotional moments where it's just like, okay, we're taking it all in. That's why she has to do this now, type of thing. So it really does make sense. It really does make sense. So how now do you make sure that your vision is held as a director the whole way through? What's your secret sauce through that, if there is?
The script, man, and sometimes if I'm lucky, I get to have a chat with the writers. So I get, like with Ikaya, I think I worked nicely with Nonzi recently. So I had a very, very, very strong sense of her intention throughout the whole process, which was really dope.
Yeah.
And I could translate that to the actors. And then it's season 2, so like they sort of know the actors pretty well, blah, blah. And they know the story better than I, who's coming in as a director for season 1, right?
Yeah.
But then I start asking, like, okay, dudes, like, this is what you did, and I saw it. How do we let people into who you are, so that like what's gonna happen next becomes deeper, and like we can connect with it a little bit better. And you start finding things, and you start finding moments, and then in that, like I started figuring out, like, wait, man, maybe I want people to watch these guys a little bit. There's a film by like a dude called Hirozaki Korida. It's shot in one room, similar to this one, and he shoots strictly off one lens, one thing. Like the Revenant wasn't the first one, I think, to do that. Film buffs, go ahead.
It
and
definitely wasn't. Maybe it's the
your
first one with
problem.
the budget for
Yeah,
marketing.
it's the first one on that budget.
Wait,
and, like,
Revenant was shot on one lens, bro?
on 28 mil, right? The whole way.
Yeah.
And like he didn't move his
When
camera,
they're up
whatever.
in your face,
so
they're
like he
up in your
created
face.
like a proscenium arch of sorts.
Yeah.
But like you got a dude like Hirozaki Korida who creates like that same space within like one room, a Japanese flat. A whole family is visiting their. Am I getting a beer? Yay! This podcast rocks. No, I'm not getting a beer. All right. What about the beer though? How come this is not? How come I can't have beer?
I told you, though, we're building.
But
Next time
Don't be a
we're
diva.
here,
Don't be a diva.
there'll be a poll.
can we talk about water and you're not allowed to? Well, if there's a poll, then there's beer.
Well, next time.
Polls and beer.
What? The pole edition.
So the poll edition, yes. I'm feeling a bit Polish. What is fascinating is that like you've got this room, people are moving in and out of it constantly, and yet the story holds. So it's almost edited by movement.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, there's an interesting
it was
way approach.
Yeah, so when I looked at this shit, I was like, okay, fuck it. Like, all right, if I'm interested in watching these people act, what does that mean? It means that like I need to slow down on the edits, because if I'm doing that,
I think like a lot of my faster edits involve me covering up for lack of good performances. So for me, I like your decisions in terms of your castings. So he's blushing again. I'll be frank. It was like a lot of times where I'm like, read the script and then the person they cast, you're like, Mara, why? And okay, cool. But it's a difficult conversation to have. Like, I've been in the room with the commissioning editors and the marketing people and trying to fight for an actor. It's rough, dude.
it is rough. But like, I mean, you know, everybody like agrees that you're custodian of the script, right? So what the fuck? Like, go vibe with me sometimes. Sometimes you and it's scary for everybody, right? And I think that's why like a lot of things end up in a very default position of like what I prefer to call wide close up, because anything else is fucking scary. To sit there and actually acknowledge that your audience might be intelligent, the audience has just made them. They made the Matrix a fucking.
And even more important,
bestseller.
on set, it takes time.
No, it doesn't.
Well, that's what they think.
That argument is moot.
Okay, I
though.
want to hear what you have to say.
Because if you're doing wide close up, then like, it means I shoot one wide, and then I look at you, shoot the close up, then I turn around, I shoot Proph's close up, and then I fuck off, and then I make the rest of the movie and edit, right?
Yeah.
But if you think a little bit more and you say, okay, but what do we need? What if like we had like even like a small ladder dolly running right through here, so that like it could be from a wide into various close-ups, and then we just rehearse it a couple of times, so like it's a more dynamic scene and it's got all these other things.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a change. I don't think that's an argument.
Yeah, the thing. Okay, cool. With that
I just
approach,
think that like there's a need for people to be safe. So it's like the way when somebody doesn't know how to dress well, they'll probably put on a white T-shirt or a blue T-shirt and a pair of khaki pants and some shoes.
Or
so
style.
afraid of making real
Yeah,
decisions.
chinos. Yeah, you're not making a real decision. You're going to the safest place possible, and there's no way that anybody's going to say that you're not neatly dressed. There's no way that anybody's going to judge you.
Sure.
I hear what you're saying, and I think, okay, cool. I think one, we need to do more in terms of we need to find spaces where we can safely experiment with those kind of movements, because the reality is until your muscle for actually doing those kind of blocking and movements, etc., has been actually exercising, you will be wasting time when you try doing it.
You will, but
Because you're like,
they have to
and the
fight
movement
space.
between here and there, did I get her coverage or not? So it's like,
But
and that, yeah, but the thing, here's the thing, let's say, okay, cool, you're doing it on, like, you're DOP as well.
No, finish. I'll tell you why.
I'm saying you're DOP as well.
Right?
And how many other, you've worked with other DOPs, how many other DOPs have the strength to be fully aware of what coverage has been done with that kind of movement, camera movement, and what have we gotten and what have we not gotten?
Okay. Firstly, why don't you know? Right?
What, as a director?
Yes.
Oh, dude, when I'm directing,
as the DOP, like
when I'm directing, I'm fully aware of everything that has been covered and what hasn't been covered. Like, because I sit in front of the computer and I hate having to go back to source stuff. So it's like I've trained my brain to be able to be aware of what's there, what's missing, etc. I feel like I need to cut to this as I'm watching the monitor on set, and I'm like, okay, cool, we need to get this, this, and this, and I'll tell my continuity person that to make sure that I don't forget it. So how I work on set is as an editor as well, and that's a different approach to a lot of directors and DOPs, where it's like a lot of DOPs are not even aware of the line, and I'm like, no, it's not gonna cut.
What?
No, but I'm saying that. But no, like, and I've seen that. I'm just saying that, like, a lot of dudes walk off one show and walk straight into another one, and they don't necessarily always have a clear understanding of the story.
Yeah.
So, one, you're directing that homie, and then at the same time, there might be a bit of a clash because he wants to, like, put on his own personal touch and style and all of that, which is nice, because that's probably the reason why he's there into this thing. But he can't because it might be out of context because
For me-
homie's not. So, wait.
Yeah.
Rock with me for a second, right?
Cool.
So, my thing is that, like, when you walk onto set, you've been to a recce,
Yeah.
you've read the script, if you're fortunate and the universe is kind and the stars align, and and then you will have like maybe a reading of 2 days. If you're fortunate, right?
If you're super fortunate.
Right?
Like that only happened with
It's like I said, the stars have to align, Mercury has to be rising,
Saturn
and
has
then
to
retrograde.
return.
Yeah, you know
the
what I
whole
mean?
retrograde, Venus, and
You know what I mean? So many things have to be happening. And all your chakras must have been purged of like whatever swine you ate the week before. Like it's a lot of things. So, but ultimately, me.
Fucking readings.
I walk on to set and I say, this is exactly how I want this shot to work. So what I also do is that, like, in the mornings, and it's always a pleasure if you've got somebody who rolls like that. In the mornings, your DOP will rock up early. They're really good guys that way. Him, me, and the AD we walk through the day.
Yeah.
I walk, and I mean I walk the fucking day.
Visualize the whole thing.
And I walk to the space, and I'll tell you, because I've still got photos. I take photos on my records, and I take all sorts of shit. And
Yeah.
I love. So I'll say like, okay, cool. I'm gonna shoot from here, and this is what's gonna happen. Obviously, there'll be other things that we know that, like, okay, he's probably gonna be. I'm hoping that by then, in a good world, what would happen is that like he knows exactly how I'm gonna shoot it that day.
Yeah.
Because we've had enough time. But South African film, like television, doesn't allow that kind of time. So a lot of the shit is done on the fly.
Yeah.
Because like now he's working off a job. You're in edit for a job while prepping for this job, right? And nobody really gives a fuck about your life because the producer is closing another one while getting this one going.
Yeah.
CBC is not paying them the money at the time on time, or in some cases Mzansi hasn't approved scripts, so like it's all
so basically
a fuck up
everybody's in the space with
And I don't need your creative rubbish right now.
Right. So nobody's fully committed to this thing, right?
Yeah.
So you sit there and you hold it together and you say, okay, cool. One way or the other, I'm going to do this. And you let them know and you speak through it and you work it out and then you work out some things. You walk onto set and I say, this is exactly how it's going to go down. And I walk to every single play, put camera position and say, this is what I'm expecting, this is how I'm thinking. Then we look at the script, then we look at the call sheet and we say, okay, sharp. If that has to happen in that light like this, if we haven't had the chance to like look at stuff like that, then we just might work things around. Because then also at this time I start finding out that, no, that actress is like Omovango. So like now they're going to come late, or like at this is like this, and like there's the fuck ups happen.
Yeah.
So you start working around like the
fuck ups of the day.
Yeah, the scenes, and you make sure that you've got a running order that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it has to be flexible. If it's not flexible,
It has to be as flexible as possible.
You know, but it has to be airtight. But you must be able to be like, choop, move that one down. And nothing
without
happens.
tumbling the whole day.
Right.
And then at that moment you also have to deal with actors. You're like, no, but my scene is.
And then everybody's all emotional and shit.
Yeah.
And then you're staring at them on something like, oh, you're getting paid for a fucking day.
And you're wasting the day.
You're wasting my day. Like, so anyway, it's that's my thing. When you're talking about complicated blocking thing, I'm asking like, but why didn't you know what you're doing? I always draw little pictures at the bottom of my scripts if you've ever seen them. Like I know.
I also do the same thing. I have stickmen drawn literally with cameras.
I know what the movement is. I know how it's gonna go, and I know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And plus, I've already spoken to you, my editor, so I know what cuts I'm gonna need to make it work. Right. But I still give myself room to say, "Oh, that looks cool. Let's shoot that as well quickly."
Yeah, I like. The movement, dude. People are out of practice. People have been safe in normal TV, and that's the problem.
But it's not even normal TV. It's a soapy world.
Yeah.
You've got one short track that gets you into a scene, right? Or one shot
if you have
of somebody walking that gets you into a scene, and then from there on, they all hold one position and then they talk.
Yeah.
If like you're in a studio, you can let them walk around and like whatever.
Boring. You come out, like you see me cutting back to the wide in the middle of the scene, and then they make you change it back, right?
That's what I'm saying. It's wide, closer, you know?
It's boring.
It is, but then I mean the thing is, it's efficient. And
I know. It's sausage factory style.
Functionally, but then now like this style carries on over into drama,
into movies.
So dudes are gonna light the best two scenes, the best like directions they can. And then, like, the character, if they stand up, you're fucked. But what I also know is that, like, dudes don't have lights because, like, the budget doesn't allow.
Budgets are tight.
So he can only afford to light maybe one character, like, in a very specific way and keep it very narrow.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes, like, it's very painful because you can watch some shit and then be like, I know you're cheats. I know why you cheated that. And you know in your heart that it's not what he would want to do because, like...
It's the limited resources available.
Right.
No, the lighting one side thing is a thing, bro. It's rough. It's like you have this beautifully shaped light this side. On this side, there's barely any light. It's like you have to shape the light later when you turn around.
Right.
Yeah.
It's painful.
Shooting single, but look,
and keep continuity.
Single cam, yeah. So I mean, for me, that's so. I always go into that, but like I mean, as well, like I think what I really find painful is that like I'm not enjoying a lot of performances I've been seeing though. Like it's like
Why not?
I don't feel like I don't feel like actors are being pushed far enough to do their thing. I think we're allowing them to get away with like.
But also I think we also have there's a problem in terms of South Africa. We hire brands versus good actors.
I don't know. I think it's a director's responsibility to get a performance out of a person.
I agree, but not everybody is an actor, and it's like now. Okay, cool. You've probably fought for specific actors, and were given an Instagram celebrity instead.
I've had the misfortune, Pastor J, of even working with people who weren't actors. I've worked with people who are hired because like they're free, and he's gonna be here the whole day, so let him act.
Yeah.
I remember an actress who, every time she used to have a performance, I used to pretend to go to the toilet and let my continuity director do it. Don't put that in, actually.
We didn't say who it was. It's okay.
No, it was a very bad time in my life, but that one I don't think. But I remember an actress whose performance used to make me cringe so much, I used to like almost not want to watch it. She was not an actor. She couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And she was there because she was free, but her performances were awful, which made my job miserable. And then other performers around her would not want to perform.
Affected by that as well.
I remember a day when a very famous actress once lost their ish with an actor who couldn't perform.
Yeah.
And she said, "But what the fuck are you here for? What are you doing? We're doing this shit. What are you doing? Come on, man. You are letting us down. We're holding it down. You are not bringing everything to the table."
Yeah.
And it was something as simple as not remembering his lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because you don't forget to turn on the light when you...
And you know what I mean?
When you're lighting, you don't forget to... No, I forgot the T-shirt, but it's fine.
Dude, so it's a thing. So, like, I'm not... I miss... Acting is a skill. It's a craft, man. It's a thing that people study years for. And when you see people who put their time into it, do it, man. Man, it's a beautiful thing.
It is.
It's like, for me, like, still, one of my favorite actors is, like, Usimpo. And it's like, on what, Scroof No Sexy, he was playing the Parai, basically. And he was hilarious. You believed him. He killed it. You meet him in person, it's like, whoa, I can't believe this is the same person. And then edit, like at least I have the opportunity to be able to edit a bunch of different actors and stuff. So like, because of the fact that I can see all of the stuff that doesn't make the film and the stuff that does make the film, I can actually have a set of favorite actors, and they're not my favorite because they look good after we edit them. They're good.
They look good because they know how to perform.
Yeah.
So like Simple, also Kaya, where it's like when they do their performances, I was like, whoa, even Gloria kills and stuff. And I'm like, but in terms of the people that get given a real chance, in terms of the big stars of Mzansi Magic or whatever else, the brands that have been built, it's all people who basically are non-actors. And I don't mean to be taking shots at people, but it's like, hey, you want to be an actor? Cool. Get 300,000 Instagram followers.
Yeah,
now
man,
you can be on TV. And we also just did the same thing, you know. It's like, I'm not sure. It was like this girl, no, she's got a lot of followers, we're going to put her on the show. And we did. And did it work? Yes. It's terrible.
It's a little boom.
Exactly.
But I think maybe I'm lucky in that, like, the stuff that I work on is either really cheap or, like, you know, nobody cares enough, because I've been able to choose outside the norm a little bit and cast a little bit further than normal, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, with Emoyeni, it was like the coolest thing. I've always wanted to put Nozipo and Sai in one place. And Sai has always wanted to work with Nozipo, but he's never been able to.
Yeah.
So everybody's like wet dreams sort of happened all in one short little film. And like her, I'd just done Yalla with her before that.
Yeah.
And she'd like after she did that, like she had come out and been like, "Oh, I want to act, but I'm so tired of everything." And I'm like, "Hey, you want to be a crackhead?" And she's like, and she's
cool.
like, "What? You sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then like at that time a green-eyed monster. But at that time, like, it was like she was seen as the sad girl. So like, there was consternation towards her being there. And I said, well, if she's going to be a crackhead, isn't that sad? Isn't it good that she already looks the part and they let me get away with it? So that was really cool, like, to cast her like that. I mean, and it's interesting because I have repeat people that I've worked with when I'm sitting and looking at it. And it's only because, like, they're willing to transform.
Yeah.
I think that's why, like, even though I've worked with them in so many different capacities and, like, the roles have been so varied.
They were those characters.
They're willing to transform, and that's where I think I've been enjoying working. That's why I think I enjoy working with them, and I'm willing to, like, even work with them further going in the future, because they are willing to, like, say, okay, what are we doing now? Is this what we are? All right, cool. Let's make the change.
Showcase.
Yeah. So
Great
how
performers.
Pardon?
Great performers make amazing stuff. All right, across the board in jail, if you look at it.
And I enjoy theater trained people, like, because, like, they immerse.
Yeah.
They know how to speak with the whole body type of thing.
Like they basically throw themselves into the performance.
Yeah, like it's a big thing, because especially when you're doing television, bro, like, we don't have fucking time, we don't have money, bro. Like, you have to fucking do shit quick. But now if you're gonna do the shit that you did on the soapy that you worked on in the morning, and on the fucking TV show that you present for Gospel Gold or whatever,
yeah,
and you're the same fucking person, what the fuck, dog? Like, what are you doing? Yeah. It's like you're not taking care of your craft, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you're not being the thing that you said you are, which is an
artist,
performer, an artist,
yeah.
you know.
No, I feel you with that.
That's really great. Really cool.
Cool. That's the end of the podcast.
You didn't die
And they didn't have beer.
this time.
Yeah, but funding, corruption, Africa, bills, load shedding.
People are driving Bentleys out here and they can't buy you a beer. Nice seeing these dudes.
What Bentley?
Now that, like, I didn't know that Umhlanga Rocks was this nice.
On that bombshell.
My yellow ocean.
This is it. We out.
You're now tuned in to radiodr.co.za.
You are now tuned in to recording live again on radiodr.co.za.